You know, a lot of people hear of physical abuse because you probably can see the signs all over. Emotional abuse, I would say, is much worse because you can't see it, and it's pretty rampant. So, examples of this would be, constant criticisms. Criticisms is good, but when it's bad and belittling and it's putting you down all the time and it's guilt tripping you, gaslighting you, there's a lot of dominance, there's a lot of controlling. You can't do certain things at certain times until I say a certain way. There is a lot of pressure kind of holding you down from being who you are. These are some of the more common signs of emotional abuse in a Christian home. And because the Bible, speaks submission, speaks forgiveness, speaks perseverance, a lot of women don't even voice it. They just kind of keep it in and just, wallow in it. And at some point, it turns to bitterness, and that is ultimately not good. There is also the fact that you're afraid of divorce. That is probably going to be the result of you speaking out. Everybody will turn it to fight, and then you have to get divorced. And then you're thinking of the consequences of that, the stigma of that. How do I go to church? And then they see that I am a divorcee. How do I explain it to the children? How is it going to affect the children? I would rather stay. There's also the feeling of, you're blaming yourself. Maybe you could have done something. Maybe it was the way you did something. Maybe you could have done something better. And then you keep putting it on yourself and making yourself feel like this horrible person that caused it, altogether. So these are things and reasons why a lot of women would tend to just suck it up and say, you know what, be a big girl. You're supposed to just live through this and just be happy and put a smile on your face. Meanwhile, you're hurting and dying inside. Emotional abuse is never a good thing. And ultimately, it is going to come out one way or the other. And the day it does, it's going to blow, so it's going to be something very little that triggers you, and then you're just going to burst. And then you don't know when that time is. And it could just be a time where you really would rather not. It could be in front of your children. It could be, in a situation where you'd rather not actually have your issue out there, your dirty linen out there. So it's better to deal with it, find somewhere where you can talk about it, find strength. Again, the Bible, as much as it preaches submission and forgiveness and perseverance, it also has a lot of strength in there, a lot of support in His words, a lot of promises in His words. And you do need to find a space where you can vent and get it out of your head, because the longer it sits in there, the longer it becomes a virus, and it just kind of sips into everything around you.